Welcome back, pro wrestling fans. Welcome back, IWC. It's your old buddy, the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy. And I tell it like it is. I'll say that to say this. Coming to you live to tape 25 feet below the surface of the earth. Wait a minute. You guys get it, right? And you know what's coming, right? I'm live, but I'm taping this at the same time. Fuck it. You guys get the idea. Another special edition on a special day here at Chaos Corner. For today, this date, November 11th in pro wrestling history. I want to first start off by saying I give a big salute and a thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I genuinely and sincerely mean this, on every Veterans Day and on every day throughout the year. A big shout out and salute to our military men and women, our armed forces, all branches, our armed services that serve across this globe, across the planet, in this country, and everywhere else. It's a debt that certainly could never be repaid. So let's take a quick moment of silence for all the military men and women who have the balls enough, no pun intended, to serve this country and do what a lot of you people out there wouldn't do, including myself, because I was never in the military. You know, I was 25 years behind the walls. That's another story for another time. I served our country in a different way. And my entire family go all the way back to World War I and World War II as veterans of this great country. So a quick moment of silence on this Veterans Day as we remember all our military. All right, fans, shout out and respect to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because without him, none of this would be possible. And if he's for us, nobody can be against us. Again, happy Veterans Day to all my friends and family and relatives and those who I don't know who have served this great country. And it's about to get worse. We need our military more than ever. Let's hope they're on the right track and in the right direction in this insane 2023 and what the government and military officials, the leaders at the top, have done to our military. From vaccines to LGBTQ, I don't want to get into all that stuff, transgender. That's for you people to decide. I'm not here to judge anyone. I would have to look in the mirror first. But again, a special day here on Chaos Corner. Again, much love and respect to everyone here on the channel. We're this close to the 1,000 subscribers and only about 400 watch hours away from the 4,000 watch hours so we can go live. And a special programming note. Tomorrow, November 12th, I believe the first debut will be, and the first airing will be around noon time. And then tomorrow night, November 12th, around 7 o'clock, I will be on the PWZ podcast with the Professor Rick Del Santo and making my debut on WON Sports. It's a 2-hour show chock full of history, my personal career, and today's current product. What an unbelievable conversation between myself and the professor. So tomorrow, I'll be putting it up on all my social media platforms, PWZ podcast, and my debut on WON Sports. Speaking of social media platforms, welcome to Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel, the mothership. Follow me on X, aka Twitter, in real time at Big Daddy G.O.C. And the G.O.C. stands for the Guardian of Chaos. On Instagram, it's the Guardian of Chaos. I have 2 accounts on Facebook, and you get the first one, J. Brony, and Prodigio Fidelis El Guardian, in honor of my heritage. Follow me on Getter, Gab, Truth Social, and of course, coming to you live very soon on Rumble, where there's no presence of the pro wrestling world, the IWC, and even pro wrestling fans. So stay tuned for that. And now sit back and relax. Grab some brunch, some lunch, grab a beverage. School is in session on today, November 11th, in pro wrestling history. Into the time machine we go. November 11th, 1957. Ray Stevens defeats Tor Kamada in Birmingham, Alabama for the NWA Southern Junior Heavyweight title. November 11th, 1965, Maurice Mad Dog Vachon defeats the Crusher for the AWA World Heavyweight title in Denver, Colorado. Fast forward into the time machine. November 11th, 1977, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat defeats the Nature Boy, Ric Flair in Richmond, Virginia to win the NWA United States Heavyweight title. November 11th, 1978, the NWA Mid-America title changes hands twice in one night in Nashville, Tennessee, as Dirty Dutch Mantel defeats the Mexican Angel for that title, starting Mantel's fourth title reign, only to drop it to the Macho Man Randy Savage later on that night, starting Savage's second reign with that strap, the NWA Mid-America's title. Let's stay in November 11th, 1978. The Invaders defeat Kenjo Kimura and Hiro Sasaki in Caguas, Puerto Rico to win the WWC World Tag Team titles. You know it's coming, right? No me jodas, maricón, muévete, culo, pendejo. Wait, man. No offense. It's a work, man. Kayfabe. Don't be so sensitive to all my Spanish-speaking friends out there. Back into the time machine here at Chaos Corner. November 11th, 1988. Oh, wait. Let me fix the chains. As you know, I'm wrapped up in chains, and I have been my whole life, especially for my career behind the walls. Or go to the community page, leave a comment, like, subscribe, send me an email, inbox me for crying out loud. November 11th, 1988. Eric Embry defeats old slapnuts Double J Jeff Jarrett in Dallas, Texas to win the World Class Championship Wrestling Light Heavyweight title for the third time. Remember when World Class kind of changed hands and Devon Eriks left out for a while and Fritz was no longer the booker, Eric Embry became the booker and did a decent job down in WCCW in the day. Back into the time machine. November 11th, 1991. Ted DiBiase defeats Virgil in Utica, New York to win back the $1 million belt. What a bunch of horse shit that was, the $1 million title, $1 million belt. Kind of like the FTW title. No disrespect, but they're not real championships and titles in the pro wrestling world. They were made up. They were personal brands. That's just my opinion. And you know that I tell it like it is on this channel. I give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. And if you don't like it, you can change the fucking channel. And I apologize for cussing. I really do. Now, when DiBiase won back the $1 million belt, ending Virgil's 3-month reign with the belt, DiBiase would never lose the FAW belt, the made-up belt, again, although years later he would voluntarily present it to the Ringmaster. The Ringmaster. We all know, if you're on this channel, I know that you're smartened up to the business. The Ringmaster was Stone Cold Steve Austin. And when I say smartened up, my over 55 plus years as an agent, a scout, a historian, a researcher, a smark. A mark, that's right, I said it, a mark. I'm proud to say a mark. That's right, a mark. We're all marks at one time, one point, one way or another. Right? For just $4.99. How are we being interrupted here by Alexa? This is the problem here. Alexa, play tropical thunderstorm sounds for my fans. Why does she always do this to me? We haven't heard from her in quite a while. She's pretty annoying, don't you think? No offense, I don't want to say her name. The Ringmaster, Steve Austin, that's where I was. I got distracted. Hey, listen. I'll tie it up like a little bow. Bear with me here. We're not even 10 minutes in yet. I'm feeling much better. Obviously recovering. I still have that lingering cough. But again, Thank you to all the fans that have reached out to me and inboxed me and left messages checking in on me. It really does mean a lot to me. We're going to really fast forward here. Stand by. Let me moisten the pipes here at Chaos Corner. You guys don't mind, do you? But take a sip yourself on your coffee. I already had one cup here on an unbelievable Saturday. And I'll get to that because a week from today, next Saturday, November 18th, is going to be a monster show that you're not going to want to miss at Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. Mania in Paradise. The final count for El Ref. El Gallo Tres Huevos, as I call him. Now, stand by, fans. Stand by. Oh, wow. All right, fans. Back into the time machine here at Chaos Corner. November 11th, 2007. We're really sprang ahead here as opposed to falling back. Pun intended. 2007. Booker T debuts for TNA at the Genesis pay-per-view in Orlando, Florida. And now we know coming up in a few short months in 2024, Impact Wrestling is bringing back TNA Impact Wrestling, which was defunct, in like 2008. Vince Russo's baby. Originally, he thought it was a big sophomoric idea, and the producers and the TV people wouldn't catch on. I've said this before. TNA, what's the first thing you think of? No disrespect to anyone out there and the kids watching in a certain demographics, tits and ass. It's total nonstop action, but that's not what it was originally about with Vince Russo. Now, I get along with Russo. We follow each other on social media, so it is what it is. I tell it like it is. It's just that simple. I'll say that to say this. Here's another personal story that is on this date, November 11th, in pro wrestling history, because I worked for the man. I worked for the AWA Superstars of Wrestling. I was out to Las Vegas and Laughlin and Bullhead City, Arizona on the Colorado River against the legendary King Kong Bundy for the AWA World Heavyweight title when I was in the corner of the Cycles of Apocalypse Crunch. Okay, and then we traveled all over. I was able to work for the AWA in several Midwestern states, everything from Wyoming to Montana to Minnesota to Vegas to Arizona for then Dale Gagne, and we even did Super Clash 3D in your face. I had the flyers here that I wanted to show you guys, and that's where I was very good friends at one point, and still to this day, with the Twin Turbos, Heaven and Hell, the Gregorovic brothers who ran WWZ, the World Wrestling Zone out of Chicago, in Vegas and Indiana, when I was fortunate enough to work with the legend, God rest his soul, the late, great Terry Funk. And then, of course, with the AWA Superstars of Wrestling, with Bundy and everyone else you can think of in between. They treated me like gold. But Dale Gagne, a.k.a. Dale R. Gagner, Gagner, and of course, as I alluded to, my old buddy that I met at the time, I believe was only 19 years old, ring announcer Justin Price, who went on to become, obviously, the unbelievable ring announcer, not only in the WWE, but currently in AEW, the Dapper Yapper, Justin Roberts, who even put me over in his book, WWE, the best house in the best seat in the house. His book, I have the book right over here. I was in chapter 5 when we worked together in New York City for the grand opening of Bally's. I believe it was in Brooklyn. Thousands of people that day. Johnny Stewart from the AWA, if you remember, the light heavyweight champion, the legend Johnny Stewart. And that day, we were able to be on the same show and be able to meet and talk to and pick the brain of, from that poster right here over my right shoulder, The Rock. That's right, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I believe this was in 2000. So let that sink in as far as nostalgia and how this story relates to yours truly and the stars that I just mentioned. And the videos are up on my channel, over 2,500 videos here on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel. So here we go with the story of my former boss from the AWA Superstars, who ended up getting in a little trouble. And I know you're going to see this, Dale, because you're on my Facebook page. November 11th, 2008. Dale R. Gagne, a.k.a. Dale Gagne, filed an official response to the U.S. District Court of Minnesota, informing them that he was adhering to the summary judgment issued on October 23rd, 2008. In the response, Gagne recognized that he and his partners, associates, agents, representatives, employees, successors, and assigns are permanently enjoined from infringing on any of the AWA marks. No offense, he doesn't mean you guys, the marks. Me too. You know how I feel about that. Or WWE's rights to them. Gagne also recognized that his version of the AWA are also prohibited and enjoined from registering, using, or owning the AWAstars.com and MySpace, that's right, MySpace.com AWA Stars domains. Gagne provided proof that he had transferred the domains to WWE ownership. Gagne informed the court that he had notified all contracted and former affiliates and associates of his version of the AWA of the court's order. He noted names that may continue to use have been filed for federal trademark protection and can be used under a licensure by the owner, and that the two separate promoters, not Dale himself, but Brian Logan and Michael Howerton, that's right, I'm putting it out there because it's a public information that if you do your due diligence and research, it's all out there. I'm not putting out anything that you fans couldn't find out yourself if you did the due diligence. And those two that I just mentioned have refused to comply with his request and intend to continue promoting events as the real AWA under the internet domain, therealawa.com. Gagne also noted he owns a trademark for the American Wrestling Alliance. So it appears he may attempt to move forward with using the AWA letters under slight change in what the letters stand for. Now, you guys didn't know I was involved with all this, but if you followed me and went to the page and did some research, you would know that I was a big part of the AWA Superstars at that point. Along with, as I said, the twin brothers who worked for the WWE and ran their own organization, which was excellent out of Chicago, along with Justin Roberts, along with the illustrious Johnny Stewart, so on and so forth, and everyone else that you can think of from King Kong Bundy on down to the legends, Doink the Clown, so on and so forth. We'll stay with this story, November 11th, 2009. Oh, wait, my bad. Let me make sure that I finish this. My bad, fans here. I just want to make sure that I cleared up that 2008, November 11th. I'm just thinking pro wrestling history with the AWA Superstars. Okay, I believe that was the finishing statement in what happened in the federal court battle between the AWA and Dale Gagne, so on and so forth in the WWE. Let's fast forward into the time machine. November 11th, 2009. A WWE-themed episode of Dinner Impossible aired on the Food Network featuring The Miz, good old JR Jim Ross, Gail Kim, hold on to that name, Stephanie McMahon, Santino Marella, and it's the Big Show. Chef Robert Irvine had to prepare a meal for a SummerSlam VIP party. Here's the name Gail Kim. Interesting to note that Gail Kim and Irvine, who met at the shoot, are now married. How about that? Put that in your pipe and smoke it for useless tidbits of professional wrestling history and facts here, presented by the G.O.C. That's me. Gail Kim and Robert Irvine. Who knew? The Food Network. Food brings people together. Food is love, man. Let's stay in November 11th, 2009. The Nature Boy, Ric Flair, marries for the 4th time on this date in pro wrestling history. Also, November 11th, 2009, retired boxer Iron Mike Tyson was arrested following a scuffle with a photographer at LAX. As we know, side notes here, Tyson made several appearances for the WWE over the years, including the 1998 main event as guest enforcer, as you fans probably well know if you know your history. Now, he was guest enforcer referee during WrestleMania 14, where Stone Cold Steve Austin captured his very first WWF championship from the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Tyson would be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, I believe, in 2012, and would be included in the WWE 2013 video game. How about that for Iron Mike Tyson? Did I stumble, rumble, mumble, and fumble again? I'm going to refer to it like I do on almost every show, and you fans that know me, wait for it. Back in 06 and 07, when myself and the Outcast Killers, Omar Tortuga and Diablo Santiago, were going for the NWA World Tag Team titles against T3D, Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley, the Dudley Boys, in a series of tables matches. And backstage in the locker room after those bouts, where I took the what song from Devon and Bubba, among other things, in a test of strength with Bubba Ray, he said to me, "Give the Guardian of Chaos Big Daddy 5 spots and he'll fuck up for him." I consider that to be a compliment coming from Bully Ray and who he is, a 2-time Hall of Famer, perhaps part of the greatest tag team of all time, and co-host on Busted Open Radio, which I have my issues with at times, I'll admit it. And he's the host of Busted Open After Dark. Let that sink in. Thank you, Bully Ray. Wow. That was a whole lot right there. I didn't stumble or rumble or mumble or be tongue-tied on that one, did I? One man, unique, unedited, unscripted, coming to you raw dog, making it relatable. No one else does this concept on a show like this. This is not just a podcast. This is a reality show, a TV show. That's what I consider this. And whether you're watching or not, I really don't give a fuck. But I know, and you know that I know that you are watching. Because out of my almost 1,000 subscribers, there's 95 or 96% of you that are unsubscribed that are watching, and I keep track of that because it comes through to my analytics. You really have the brain of a dehydrated baby. You know that, right? I'm just telling you, man. Let's go back into the time machine. We're going to go forward, to go back, to go back, to go forward. November 11th, 2010. Lacey Von Erich decides to leave TNA. Good move. But she does it via Twitter. Like a lot of this current day product and people here in this new day and age of wrestling, instead of talking man to man, woman to woman, people put it out on social media. How unprofessional. I'm just saying, man. It's just my opinion. Back into the time machine, we're bouncing all the way back to November 11th, 1991. Very important because this was one of my favorite shows, and I'll admit that I had a lot of ideas that came out of these shows. So November 11th, 1991. The final format of primetime wrestling debuted on this day 32 years ago. This was a panel format, and the debut included Roddy Piper and Gorilla Monsoon on one side, with Bobby Heenan and Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig on the other, and the show host moderator, obviously, was Vincent Kennedy McMahon Jr. The format had been previously resembled as a variety show, an old-school TNT feel, with a studio audience, a live studio audience, hosted by Vince and Heenan, which that was probably the favorite time of the era for me in this show, when it was a variety show. This had replaced the most remembered, my show, as I like to call it, and most beloved format of primetime wrestling, TNT, whatever you want to call it, that was hosted by Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Fans, if you don't go out and watch that on YouTube or on the network or on the Peacock, no offense, you're missing a lot of variety and comedy mixed with pro wrestling old school style, because there's always a place for levity and a much needed distraction just like this show. Gorilla and Heenan would be in the studio sparring, interspersed with matches that they would talk about. It really was classic pro wrestling TV, and where I got a lot of my ideas for Chaos Corner. The final version would last only over a year before being replaced with Monday Night Raw in January of 1993. Back into the time machine, November 11th, 1987, 36 years ago. The 13th edition of Saturday Night's Main Event was taped in Seattle, Washington. On that card, King Kong Bundy defeated World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion Hulk Hogan by countout, obviously with interference from Bobby the Brain Heenan. And if you remember correctly, Andre the Giant was at ringside and was tossed from ringside. Thus Bundy winning by countout, as Heenan, I believe, grabbed his leg to hold him out of the ring. On that same card, Macho Man Randy Savage defeated Bret the Hitman Hart. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Self-proclaimed, but he was damn good. George the Animal Steele defeated Danny Davis by disqualification on that same card. Also, on that same card, November 11th, 1987, 36 years ago, Bam Bam Bigelow pinned Hercules Hernandez, making Bam Bam's national television debut. Let's get on to some greetings and salutations and well wishes and birthday wishes today, November 11th, on this date in pro wrestling history. Happy birthday to Leo Rush, who turns 29 today. Also a happy birthday to Van Hammer, back in the WCW days, who turns 64 today. Also, November 11th, birthdays today. Japanese legend Dump Matsumoto, konnichiwa bitches, arigato, from Chaos-san, the G.O.C.-san. Dump Matsumoto turns 63 today. Now, Matsumoto was briefly in the WWF in 1986, and if you remember correctly, if you know your history and you're here on this channel, Matsumoto used to team with the unbelievable Japanese legend, women's wrestling around the world, one of the best and toughest bitches to ever do it, Bull Nakano. And if you remember their series of legendary matches and their rivalry and feud with the Crush Girls, Matsumoto and Nakano against the Crush Girls, it's all over the internet. You can go out and watch it. Unbelievable, legendary matches between those four ladies. Also, today's birthday, November 11th, 1982, and I believe he turns 40 today. Oh, yeah! And that would be Eli Drake, Max Dupree, LA Knight, current WWE star, I believe, turns 40 today, born on this date, November 11th, 1982. A happy birthday, LA Knight. Or should I do advance? A happy birthday to you. A happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Eli Drake, Max Dupree, LA Knight. Happy birthday to you. Oh, yeah! No? Maybe? Leave a comment. Let's go back into the time machine. November 11th, 2012. New Japan Pro Wrestling Power Struggle in Osaka, Japan saw Prince Devitt defeat Low Ki to win the New Japan Pro Wrestling Junior Heavyweight Championship. Now back in 2012, here's another one for you fans. Wait for it. It's one of my regular routines here on Chaos Corner. Prince Devitt was who? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Prince Devitt, a.k.a. Finn Balor from the current Judgment Day, in the WWE. How about that for another useless tidbits of pro wrestling information and facts here on Chaos Corner on this day in pro wrestling history? Does it get any better than this? Because I don't think that it does. Let me see what else I have here for you guys. And let's bring a little current here in the time machine. November 11th, 2020. 2020 was a bad year on this Mother Earth, in this universe, on this planet, and we still haven't recovered yet here in 2023, going into 2024. All government planned and worldwide planned, from the WEF to the WHO and everybody else in between, big tech, big pharma. Just giving you my standpoint. We don't really do too much politics or religion on this channel. We try to keep it levity and a distraction and a stress reliever for all of us. 2020 was a shit year. November 11th, 2020. And here's good news. Jade Cargill makes her AEW debut, interrupting a promo with Cody Rhodes and Brandy Rhodes. She appeared with NBA legend, NBA Hall of Famer, the big man, Shaquille O'Neal, Shaq. Pretty damn good role model, if you ask me, for what he does for kids, the less fortunate, and being in law enforcement. I respect you, Shaquille O'Neal, not like the rest of these self-entitled sons of bitches that are Hollywood actors and entertainers and athletes, and you know what I'm talking about. It's all going to be exposed with the politicians soon, and you also know what I'm talking about. That's another story for another time, for another show not called Chaos Corner. How ironic that both of them now, back in 2020, which is just 3 years ago, they're both in AEW. Jade is the hottest commodity coming into the company, especially with Shaq, and insinuating he may become a part of AEW, and that big bump off the ring apron into the table that Shaq took that night in 2020. And Cody, a big part of AEW, was EVP. And since he's left, the product has really changed. How ironic now that 3 years later, both Jade and Cody are in the WWE as perhaps the two biggest stars in that company right now. What do you think about that? Leave a comment. Hit that like button. Also on that same night in 2020 for AEW, considering where he is now as the Triple B, the World Heavyweight Champion, and what's going on that same night, Max, that's right, MJF, was also inducted into the Inner Circle with Chris Jericho. And if you remember, the very next week there in 2020, he took the whole group out to Las Vegas, Sammy Guevara, Garcia, whoever was in there in the group at the time, and they did those unbelievable vignettes leading to that dance scene with Jericho and MJF at the dinner theater to Frank Sinatra. And again, I don't like a lot of the comedy shtick and stuff like that, but when you come up with there's a place for it, some much needed levity. Those vignettes back in 2020 were fantastic in my opinion. I really enjoyed those. But that's on this date, November 11th, 2020. Now, fans, that's all about I have for you today. I did a lot of research for the show today, as I do for every show here on Chaos Corner. I will be back tomorrow for this date in pro wrestling history. I just want to kick back and relax for a minute here. We're a little over 30 minutes, and again, I just want to acknowledge and thank all of our military men and women across the world. We need you now more than ever. We don't know what's going to happen with what's going on in Israel and Palestine, the Gaza Strip, and what's happening in Russia and Ukraine, and what pendantly could happen in China and Taiwan, and of course what's happening with our country being invaded currently right now. Continue to stay in faith, continue to stay positive and stay aware, be informed, don't let it consume you, but you have to be aware. Move on with your life, keep it stepping, and continue to believe, because without that you have nothing else. So I'll say that to say this, because I tell it like it is. Thank you for being here. Come on back. Hit that thumbs up, as I say. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And don't you dare miss it.